what part of SBF's entire remit and recent doings is Texas looking at?
It's a great question for right now because it's tied to a deal. This is all revealed in the vein of their purchase of assets from Voyager Digital. The Texas regulator is now saying that they shouldn't move forward with that $1.4 billion purchase of those assets. And that's partially because of this dispute over whether these are securities or not when you look at the yielding assets that are being under FTX's purview here. What's interesting is it's not just FTX trading, it is also Sam Bankman-Fried that they are looking at. But you also have not just a deal in play here, but also that classic question about who's overseeing the yield products that are under the purview of all of these large exchanges that are increasingly getting bigger in this game.
So interesting. So the white knight hypothesis of Sam Bankman-Fried sort of being put under the spotlight to a large extent here.
Yeah, and it's worth taking a look at what they had to say in response to this. They said they have an active application for a license that has been pending, and they believe that they're operating fully within the bounds of what they can do in the interim. I think the other reason this is interesting is because you know that FTX has been operating in the Bahamas, separately in the US, separately in different jurisdictions around the world. And so how does Texas as a regulator fall in line with what's happening on the broader scale globally, as well as with the SEC and CFTC?
Okay, let's talk about the other regulators. Let's talk about the eyeing of the Three Arrows Capital. I mean, what is going on there? I understand that is this a CFTC issue at the moment?
Yeah, interestingly, the SEC and CFTC are looking at whether they should have registered in the United States. Okay. So even if you're operating abroad, and as we know that the location of the founders has been under dispute, they've been very hard to reach in the process of these bankruptcy filings where they need to be paying certain creditors back, you do now have the SEC and CFTC coming in and saying that, or not saying that, these are people familiar with the matter have told Bloomberg that they are looking at, in particular, whether they had violated rules by misleading investors and should have been registering in the U.S. in the first place. So again, that global issue coming into play on how investors globally are treated without certain disclosures and regulations. So this is, instead of certain products being sold here, we're looking at the very nature of how Three Arrows had operated in itself.
Just bring us up to speed with where we are in the whole liquidation process. I mean, this is never done before, certainly not on this scale, and certainly with these sorts of new types of assets and securities.
It's interesting. When you ask certain people who had interacted with Three Arrows, you have to ask them whether they think they'll get their money back in the first place. Yep. Because, again, who is owed what in what part of the capital structure? Yep. This is not your typical debt proceeding where there has been...
The waterfall is not as clear as it would be.
Exactly, but Teneo has been appointed as an intermediary here to work on this. But again, even they have not been able to really access the founders in the first place. So how does a bankruptcy proceeding happen globally without the founders being able to come up to the table?